Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be building a track in Ableton Live 11. This new version introduces some really new exciting features such as comping with audio and MIDI, which can be used really creatively. We've got linked track editing. We've got some new devices which are really cool, the spectral resonator and the hybrid reverb, and there's also some really cool kind of new chance tools as well. Together with that, there's a slightly new interface. Some of the devices are in different areas. So I think the best way to actually check out all these new features is to investigate by building a new track. Okay, so we're going to start off with some drums. So I've got a couple of loops here. I've got this one here, which is just a WAV, and this one here, which is an RX2, which is the proprietary recycle format. So first thing I'm going to do is just going to drag this one over to a clip. Let's just play that there. So you can see it's not a perfect loop. I only really need one bar of this. So I'm just going to drag over this warp marker here and just loop that to make it one bar. Cool. And you can see already that these are in different places. So I'm going to change this warp to beats. So that's just going to accentuate the transients of those drums. Cool, and then I'm also going to do Command U and quantize it. Cool, now I'm going to add a few effects. So I think we'll start off just by adding some compression. And I've got this UAD LA2A, and it gives it a bit of punch. Cool, and I'm going to use the channel EQ as well, and just take off a little bit of the bottom end and just add some highs and mids as well. Cool, so there we go, we've got our first loop. Now I'm going to work with this RX2 file, so I'm going to drag that over, and if I just lower it down a little bit, you can see sort of how it's working with this other beat. So, not perfect. Let's just do the same thing. Let's just loop it up. There we go, just drag that over. Now if we just listen to that first beat, I really like the way the kicks are sitting in that pattern. So I think if we can emulate that with this beat, that would be great. So because it's an RX2, it means that the transients have already been defined. So all I need to do is just do slice to new MIDI track. There we go, and it's detected that it's a Rex slice. Cool, and just delete that track now. And what it's done is it's turned it into MIDI hits, which I can actually play on push here. Cool, so if I just play those now. Right, so because I want to get this really tight with that other beat, which I've already quantized, I'm just going to select all and do Command U again. I'm actually going to add a bit of swing because originally it had some swing. If I just play it without that, it sounds a little bit stiff there. So if I just put some quantize on there, and actually just pointing out that the grooves are now in this inspector area here. Okay. So now we're going to actually kind of place those hits so that the kicks are kind of working with that other beat. So if you just bear with me, I'm just going to just move some of these around. So that's slice 5, and then we go to this slice 8 here. There we go. And then this one down here. Slice 10 is going to go there. And then finally, slice 12 is going to go all the way down to the bottom. And I'm just going to expand those out there. There we go. So we now play it with the other beat. So that's working pretty well. One thing I want to check are the start points of these hits. So I can actually do this from push. Okay, so just quickly go through, just checking the start points are working. You can hear some of those hits have got a bit of the tambourine or the cymbal coming before it, so you don't necessarily need those because it's going to be sitting behind the other beat anyway. Cool. Excellent. So next thing, I'm going to do the same thing effects wise as the other beat, just add a bit of this compression. Here with and without. Kind of just makes it a bit more exciting, brings out that ride cymbal there. And again, we don't need so much of that bottom end, and you'll see why in a minute. And the reason why is we're going to add a kick. So one thing I loved about the earlier version of Ableton are the drum synths, and they've actually been moved. So if we go to instruments now, you can see it says drum synth, and I love the DS kick. So I'm going to drag that over. And if I now play along with the beat, that sits really nicely. So let's put it in. Cool. I think the beat's sounding pretty good. You can see that I've actually already put this into a group, a drum group here, and I've got a rack that I've created, and I'm using several devices here. So the first one is the drum bus, the beloved drum bus. I absolutely love it. So if I add that, you can see that really brings it out. I've increased the transients there, a little bit of drive, and that gives it a lot of excitement. And then this one here, big favourite of mine. I love the Sound Toys plugins, and this is the CQ or CQ. There we go, and that adds a bit of sort of top end crispiness. Now you can see there's another one here, which is the spectral resonator, but I'm going to hold that back for the moment because we're going to look at some live effects later. So I'm going to move to the next part now. So for this one, I've got some chords, and I'm just going to quickly play those chords to you. I'm just going to bring up the keyboard so you can see what I'm playing. So let's just play along. So just before I record that in, let's just do a very, very quick kind of music theory session. The chords are these. So the first one is E flat major 7, and then it goes to an F over G, a G over A, and then an F first inversion over B flat, and then C second inversion over A, which is essentially an A minor 7, and then repeating the F over G, G over A, and going back down to the E flat major 7. Key signature wise is in G minor. It's actually using parallel keys because when it goes to the third chord, this one here, it's actually going to a G major. So it's kind of going in between G minor and G major. Okay, enough of the music theory. Let's hide that and let's record it in. Let's just check. Yep, I had record quantize on, so that's recorded in really nicely. And you can see as well that the last chord actually comes just before the beat. But it's recorded that, but the timing of it works quite well. Cool, so moving on, the next part we're going to look at is the bass part. And you might see over here, I've got my lovely Arp Odyssey or Korg Arp Odyssey. And I can play this through MIDI, which is great. So what I'm going to be doing is just playing the root notes of those chords. If I just quickly bring up the keyboard again and the chords. So E flat, F, sorry, G, A, B flat, A, G, A. So let's just play along. Cool. Now I'm going to make my life a little bit easier here because it's quite hard playing these kind of double notes. So if I just play in just those single notes, maybe we can try out the arpeggiator afterwards and see how that works. So let's record it in. Cool, there we go. So that's recorded that in nicely. So if I just play that, I'll just solo it. And if we try the arpeggiator over that, I've got this set to 16s. Let's just take out some of these parts now. Let's take out that other beat. There we go, on the chords as well. Now, beautiful thing about hardware is that you can actually mess around with the parameters and start seeing what happens. I love that, adding some noise, filter cutoff obviously. So that's great. What would be quite good is to actually capture that. And for this, I'm going to use the new comping feature. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this beat, the kick, and that bass, and I'm going to just hold that down and hold tab. I'm just going to drag that over to this area here in arrange view. Click this button so that he's become active, and let's just duplicate these parts here. There we go, and then loop that section. So what we're going to do is actually use comping, this new comping feature, creatively by just recording this as a loop and then kind of mix and matching it. So what I need to do is right click on here, and you see you've got this new setting here, show take lanes. So I've got that on. Let's have some fun recording it in. So here we go. There we go. So we've got some nice sort of variation in that bass pattern there. And as you can see, what's happened is it's created some different take lanes. So let's just expand that now. I'm just going to turn off the MIDI and just have a quick listen back. Let's just solo it. So it's comping time. So all I need to do is press B to get the pencil tool up, and I can just drag on these take lanes to kind of select the different sections. And you can see in the kind of the main audio track at the top, it's actually putting those into that and actually creating some fades for me as well. Quite like that. I was adding some of that noise at the end. I quite like a bit of that. Quite like that as well. Maybe we can just grab the first bit of this. So you can see how you can kind of use this really creatively. Maybe a little bit too much of that. Let's just, there we go. Great, so I'm happy with that. Just press B again to turn the pencil tool off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that back into session view, and I'm going to consolidate that into one audio part. So Command J, there we go. Let's just collapse that back and then just drag that over to the audio track. Take solo off, and let's just play it. Cool, so I'm really happy with that. Let's just put that as a loop. Now, there's one more part as well, which I'm going to put in, which is a little melody line. So I'll just bring the chords back for this. And for this, I'm using the beautiful Arturia Prophet 5. Bit of a sort of Shuggy Otis vibe there. There we go. Bring the keyboard back. So it's recorded in. Play the bass again. Great, so this is working really well. What I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to put this into a bit of arrangement in session view, because in a minute we're going to look at a vocal. So I'm going to do this all in push. So just go to session view and just build up these scenes. So first of all, the beat. And then this loop. And then the kick. And then the chords. And then I'm going to copy the bass MIDI as well as the audio, and we'll see why in a bit. So now just do the same thing with the audio of that bass. Gotta love push. Great, and then finally we've got this little Prophet melody. Cool, and that then means I can play these scenes live. So make sure the MIDI is muted. So let's just check that's working. So that's kind of building up the arrangement. Right, so now we're going to look at a bit of controller mapping, and I've got my Nano Control 2 here. Work very nicely, 2 bits of lovely Korg gear. So just looking at the chords, I'm just going to mute that. So this is an Ableton analog device, and first thing is I've just mapped this slider here to the filter cutoff. But there's another effect I want to use, and that's that kind of transformer effect that you can get with DJ mixers. So for this, I'm going to start off by using the utility device. So I'm just going to click on that. And if I just take the gain down to 0, that's the kind of effect I want to create. But I want to make that like a constant kind of 16th effect. So what I can do for that is that I can actually use the LFO device here. And I'm just going to use a preset that I created, which is called Transformer LFO. So I'm going to drag that over, and you can see that I've got a square wave. The rate is 16th, and all I need to do is just map that to the gain there. And if I play it now, so it's a really nice effect. And what would be really cool is if I can actually play that in live. So if I just click the MIDI mapping button here, and I just then select the utility on off, and just click that, and then when I play it, this is actually on latch. Cool, so that's a really nice effect. Next thing is, it'd be really nice if I can actually every now and then put some reverb, like a kind of big reverb splash on the drums. And for this, I'm using this lovely new hybrid reverb device here. So what this is a mix between an algorithmic reverb and convolution reverb here. So let's just have a listen to it. In fact, let's just go to the first track. That sounds really nice. So I've actually done a bit of pre-mapping here, and I've mapped this send to this latch button here. So again, that's something that I can play in live. And finally, I mentioned this earlier, we've got this new spectral resonator, which is a really lovely device. And what I'm going to do is just turn that on. And if I just take up the wet level, there's a few settings here. We've got chorus or wand or granular. I'm going to use the chorus because it kind of provides a really nice kind of stereo effect. But what's really great about this is that you can take a MIDI input. So if I just go here, and I'm just going to mute the audio, and if I go back here and I take the MIDI from the MIDI, bass MIDI there, you can see that that's coming in, and then I bring up the wet level, mix it in with the bass, and what I've done is I've actually mapped this slider to the wet level. So I can have some real fun with that. Great, so now let's look at the vocal. So I have a lot of very talented colleagues here at Point Blank, and I was very, very happy to be able to invite the Careers and Engagement Advisor, Tijan Salah, also known as Kingpin, fantastic rapper. He's released some great tracks which you can check out. I was able to invite him in to actually record a rap on this track. So let's just have a listen to that. Basically, I just want to end up with like 3 or 4 different takes, and then we can just comp them afterwards.
Perfect.
So if you mess it up, don't worry.
Just roll.
Totally fine. Yeah.
Alright, cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I be the incredible, the human wrecking ball. I reckon you ain't seen nothing that's so impeccable. I'm irrepressible, my style's indefensible. Spitting that biochemical directly to your schedule. You need a medical to fix your cerebellum. I'm bringing a whole procession to threaten the Armageddon. Tell them it's straight apocalypse. I'm taking novices, walking them through a world of rappers if they're on a scholarship. Forget the politics.
And for this, we use the comping feature. So we'll do a bit of comping in a minute, but let's just have a listen to what that sounds like.
Check. Now, I be the incredible, the human wrecking ball. I reckon you ain't seen nothing that's so impeccable. I'm irrepressible, my style's indefensible. Spitting that biochemical directly to your schedule.
Cool, so it's done a similar thing. We've got some take lanes here. And let's just, before we go and do a bit of comping with this, let's just have a look at the vocal chain, effect chain that I've got on this. So I'm just going to solo that and just turn these off here. So first of all, I put a channel EQ on it just to take off a bit of that sort of low rumble bottom end.
Indefensible, spitting that biochemical directly to your schedule. You need a
then quite a good kind of hip hop vocal technique is to use another Sound Toys plugin, which is the little altar boy.
Incredible, the human wrecking ball. I reckon you ain't seen nothing that's so impeccable. I'm irrepressible, my style's indefensible.
There we go, so it's actually kind of adding like a semitone pitch underneath.
Incredible, the human wrecking ball.
And it kind of gives it a bit of stereo width as well.
I'm irrepressible, my style's indefensible. Spitting
and I've given it a bit of top end and body with the pull tech.
You need a medical to fix your cerebellum. I'm bringing the whole procession that's threatened and Armageddon. Tell them it's straight apocalypse.
And then the secret weapon, the 1176.
Incredible, the human wrecking
gives it a lot of energy.
You ain't seen nothing that's so impeccable. I'm irrepressible, my style.
And then we've got the hybrid reverb as well.
Incredible, the human wrecking ball.
So quite a kind of short decay, not a great size, but it just
incredible.
Just kind of gives it a bit of space.
I reckon you ain't seen nothing that's so impeccable.
There we go. So let's just look at this. So it's the same technique. Press B, get the pencil tool going, and
incredible. The human wrecking.
So just there, this is the final take, the last take he did.
Incredible. The human wrecking ball.
It's that pronunciation of human, sounds like cumin, totally understandable. I'm sure I wouldn't be able to pronounce it right every time. So if we just go to the one above it,
The human wrecking.
that's better.
The human wrecking ball. I reckon
quite
you
like
ain't
that
seen
one.
nothing that's so impeccable.
So if we just play it now,
Now, I be the incredible. The human wrecking ball. I reckon you ain't seen nothing that's so impeccable.
so maybe that nothing,
And that's so impeccable. I'm irrepressible. My style, you ain't see nothing that's so impeccable. You ain't see nothing that's so impeccable. You ain't see nothing that's so impeccable. I'm
quite
irrepressible.
like the sound
My
of
style's
that.
in defense.
So you can see I can just go through here and just pick out different phrases that I really like,
the incredible. The human.
and it comps them all together into that track at the top. So it's a really great feature. What I'm going to do is just actually split this into two verses, and the reason I'm going to do that is because another very talented colleague of mine, he's the lead DJ lecturer at Point Blank, Ben Bristow, did some scratching for me. So I think we should just mute the vocal for a minute and just have a listen to that scratching. He even was good enough to film it for me as well, so we can have a little look at that. So let's just bring this up. There we go.
Now, I be the.
Sounds great. Thank you, Ben. So here we go. So what I'm going to do in that case is I'll just mute that for the moment, and then just split this vocal into two verses.
Collateral, the reason that these other rappers taking a sabbatical. I'm like a cannibal eating the opposition. It's demolition. But the whole industry planning a retreat. I'm the supernatural raps. I'm like a cannibal eating the opposition. It's demolition. I leave them beyond recognition now. The microphone, that's my favorite mechanism, and I'm using it to demonstrate a verbal exhibition. I'll be.
There we go. So I'm going to split that there. Just do Command E and just drag that 8 bars over. Actually 4 bars over, and then I'm going to take this little scratch clip here and I'm going to drag that over there into the break. So just quickly play that and then just mute the vocal, mute the audio, sorry, mute the MIDI, and then bring it back the audio. Great, so that's going to come in the break section. What I'm going to do is just bring this back here. So I'm going to be playing the vocal from the arrange view, but then I'm going to be using the session view to actually play through the track. Check it's working okay.
Check.
Cool. Right, so let's have some fun playing through the track. I'm going to be using the nano control to add some kind of reverb and a bit of that kind of transforming effect. So yeah, let's play it through. Here we go.
Check. Now, I be the incredible, the human wrecking ball. I reckon you ain't see nothing that's so impeccable. I'm irrepressible, my style's indefensible. Spitting that biochemical directly to your skeletal. You need a medical to fix your cerebellum. I'm bringing the whole procession that's threatened Armageddon. Tell them it's straight apocalypse. I'm taking novices, walking them through a world of rappers if they're on a scholarship. Forget the politics and all the broken promises. In this metropolis, I raise the heat on your thermometers. So call the coroners, I'm body bagging beats on that graveyard ship, or I'm abandoning my sleep. Commander of the fleet, I stand with the elite, taking the seat, the crowd, leave them standing on their feet now. I lay my vocal on the banger of a beat until I got the whole industry planning a retreat. I'm the supernatural, raps highly flammable. Came out of the capital to take it international. I keep it casual, raising my collateral. The reason that these other rappers taking a sabbatical. I'm like a cannibal eating the opposition. It's demolition, I leave them beyond recognition now. The microphone, that's my favorite mechanism, and I'm using it to demonstrate a verbal exhibition. I'll be now. I be the. Circulating wisdom, delivering the seminar, a lecturer, instigating the renaissance. Each each verse a configuration of eloquence. My mind's eye manipulating the elements. Raw, it's like I carry Thor's warhammer. Make a storm gather, hit the earth till the core shatters. Course happen with complicated thought patterns. Underestimating my ability is pure madness. I'm unstoppable, performing to the optimal. I'm like a monocle, the way I magnify your optical. It's diabolical, my skills highly volatile. So methodical, the way I write a chronicle is psychological assassination. Rappers getting strangulated, where I'm captivating your imagination. Eradication of these doppelgangers. No, you're not a proper rapper just because you think you got a lot of swagger. I top the ladder, climb the highest echelon. A veteran that you can stop and learn a lesson from. And every word that I deliver's like a letter bomb that be set up on a whole closet full of skeletons. So put the record on and let it explode like a definite blow. Sent from the incredible home. It's a fully fledged rebel assault. I'm defending the cause, the game done, nothing left to report. Nah. Yeah.
So there we go. Really enjoyed doing that. Hope you enjoyed that too. As you can see, comping is a fantastic feature, as well as some of these other devices as well. So I hope you can have some fun too. So if you want to find more about Ableton Live 11 and our courses at Point Blank, please check the links below, and hopefully look forward to seeing you here very soon.
Unstoppable, performing to the optimal. I'm like a monocle, the way I magnify your optical. It's diabolical, my skills highly volatile. So methodical, the way I write a chronicle is psychological assassination.